Ever feel like you're just drowning in tech news, trying to figure out what's really going to stick versus what's just hype?
Oh, absolutely. It moves so fast.
Exactly. Well, think of this as your guide for today. We're diving deep into a market that's truly reshaping how businesses handle their tech, the hybrid cloud management platform market.
And it's more than just a trend. These platforms are becoming, well, pretty essential for companies wanting flexibility, scale, security, the whole package, really.
Right. So, our mission today is to pull out the key insights from some recent industry analysis. We're looking at global and regional numbers, trends from 2021, and projections all the way out to 2033.
Yeah, the data comes from cognitive market research, so it gives us a solid picture.
And why should you care? Well, understanding this market is pretty crucial if you're interested in how modern businesses are actually doing digital transformation.
It really is. This isn't just for the IT folks anymore. It touches strategy, innovation. It's foundational. These platforms are kind of the hidden engine making complex cloud setups actually work.
That's a great way to put it. Before we dive into the, frankly, staggering growth numbers, maybe give us a bit more on the what. What exactly does a hybrid cloud management platform do day to day for a business beyond just flexibility?
Think of it like an air traffic controller for a company's entire digital operation. You've got stuff running in your own data center, maybe some things on AWS, other bits on Azure.
Right, it gets complicated fast.
Exactly. So instead of juggling all that separately, this platform gives you one place, a unified dashboard to manage it all. Deploying applications, keeping an eye on performance, securing everything, even optimizing costs. No matter
Right.
where that application or data actually lives, it provides consistent rules, consistent security across what would otherwise be, well, totally separate silos.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay, let's get into those numbers then because they really tell a story. Globally, back in 2021, this market was already worth a hefty $61.944 billion.
A big number to start with.
Definitely. But look ahead. By 2025, the projection is $103.6 billion. And then, hold on to your hat, by 2033, it's expected to hit 289.791 billion percent.
Wow.
That's a global compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of 13.721%. That's what's explosive growth. What does that tell you about how businesses view hybrid cloud now? Is it just a phase?
No, not at all. Those figures signal a really fundamental shift. It's not just, oh, let's try some cloud. It's a deep strategic commitment. Businesses are realizing that, putting everything in one public cloud doesn't always work.
Because of regulations or existing tech, maybe?
Precisely. Data rules, legacy systems they still rely on, cost considerations. So hybrid isn't just a stopgap. The data suggests it's becoming the main architectural choice for the long haul. It's about being adaptable, really. Strategic agility.
Strategic agility. I like that. Okay, so huge global momentum. Let's break it down regionally. Where's the engine driving this? Starting with North America. In 2021, the market there was $22.609 billion, projected to hit $37.141 billion by 2025, and then climb to $100.268 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of 13.218%.
Still very strong growth.
And within that, the US is the giant, obviously, moving from about $18.6 billion in 2021 to a projected $81.4 billion by 2033. That's a 13.091% CAGR.
What's interesting about North America, particularly the U.S., is that even though it's a mature market technologically, it's still showing this robust double-digit growth.
Right, you might expect it to plateau sooner.
You might, but it suggests that even the big advanced companies are continually optimizing. They're likely dealing with complex multi-cloud setups, integrating things like AI, all demanding this kind of flexible management.
Makes sense. And Canada and Mexico.
They're showing strong growth too. Canada's actually got a slightly higher CAGR, over 14%. Mexico's solid at around 13.4%. It shows the appeal of hybrid across different scales of digital adoption on the continent.
Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe. How's it looking there?
Europe showing solid, consistent performance. They started at $13.69 billion in 2021. Expected to reach $22.378 billion by 2025, and then $60.566 billion by 2033. The overall CGR for Europe is 13.254%, very much in line with North America.
And any standouts within Europe?
Germany does stand out a bit. Their CGR is slightly higher at 14.025%. They're projected to go from about $2.6 billion to over $12.6 billion.
Why Germany, do you think?
Well, Germany has that massive industrial base, right? Manufacturing, automotive, all undergoing huge digital shifts, the whole Industry 4.0 thing. They often have strict data rules and a lot of existing factory floor IT. Hybrid is perfect for them. Modernize, connect things up, but keep sensitive data or processes on-premise where needed.
That fits. And the UK.
The UK is also strong, about $2 billion in 2021, projected to hit over $9 billion by 2033, with a TGR of 13.6%, also very healthy.
And other T players.
France,
Yeah.
Italy, Spain are all contributing steadily too, with TGRs generally in the 12.5% to 13.5% range. And you also see the Nordics, Switzerland, Luxembourg, even Russia, all adding to that overall tech adoption drive in the region. It's widespread.
Okay, now. Asia Pacific. You mentioned this region is really booming.
Oh, absolutely. If you're looking for the fastest overall regional growth, this is it. The CAGR for APAC is 14.659%.
Wow. So what are the numbers?
Started at $16.353 billion in 2021, forecasted to reach $28.231 billion in 2025, and then an incredible $84.329 billion by 2033.
That's massive. Who's leading the charge there?
China is a huge driver. Their individual CAGR is outstanding, 14.871%. They're expected to grow from just under $5 billion in 2021 to almost $26 billion by 2033. Just massive scale and rapid adoption.
Okay.
But here's a really interesting one, India.
Mm.
On a national level, India actually has the highest TAGR globally in this market, 15.575%.
15.5%. Why so high?
It's partly that leapfrogging effect we talked about. Lots of new businesses, startups. They aren't burdened by old legacy systems. They're building directly on modern, often hybrid cloud foundations from day one. Plus, you have a huge, young, tech-savvy population and government pushes for digital transformation.
Fascinating dynamic.
It really is. And don't forget Southeast Asia. That's another hotspot.
Right. Tell me about that.
Growing from just over $1 billion in 2021 to over $6.3 billion by 2033. Their CAR is 15.323%, one of the strongest within APAC.
So India and Southeast Asia are really accelerating.
They are. But you also see strong dynamic growth in places like Japan, South Korea, Australia, Singapore, all with KGRs over 13%. And Taiwan, the rest of APAC, everyone's getting on board as digital transformation picks up speed.
Incredible growth story in APAC. Let's shift south now to South America.
Okay, South America. Their market was $4.088 billion in 2021.
Right.
Projected to hit $6.92 billion in 2025, and then nearly $20 billion, $19.77 billion by 2033. That's a regional CGR of 14.02%. Pretty strong.
It's in the region. Brazil, I assume, is significant.
Yeah, Brazil's the largest economy, so it leads in volume, growing from about $1.7 billion to almost $8 billion by 2033. But Argentina actually shows a slightly higher growth rate, a CGR of 14.625%.
Interesting.
And you see Colombia, Peru, Chile all showing steady upward trends as well.
What's driving it there? Is it similar to other regions?
It's a lot about modernization, catching up on infrastructure, sometimes leapfrogging older tech entirely. There's a big push for digital services, especially in banking and retail, and hybrid offers a way to scale quickly and meet that demand. It's about gaining a competitive edge.
Got it. Okay, two more regions. The Middle East.
Right. The Middle East saw $3.407 billion in 2021, projected to reach $5.745 billion by 2025, and then $16.278 billion by 2033. Their CAGR is 13.905%.
And who are the key players? Saudi Arabia and the UAE often lead tech adoption there.
Exactly, and the numbers reflect that. Saudi Arabia's CAGR is just under 14%, while the UAE is even higher at 14.578%.
What's behind that strong push?
A lot of it is driven by national strategies like Saudi's Vision 2030, huge investments in smart cities, diversifying away from oil, becoming tech hubs. These big, ambitious projects often need the kind of control and flexibility hybrid cloud offers. They need public cloud scale, but maybe private cloud security or data residency for certain aspects. You also see Turkey, Qatar, Egypt showing strong demand, all with the KGRs over 13%. It's a region really focused on digital transformation right now.
Okay, finally, Africa. Sometimes seen as lagging, but the potential is huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the numbers show that potential is starting to be realized. The market was $1.796 billion in 2021.
Okay, smaller base.
Smaller base, yes,
Right.
but look at the projection. Expected to more than quadruple to $8.581 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of 13.185%.
So still strong double-digit growth. Where's that coming from mainly?
Nigeria and South Africa are the current leaders, both showing KGRs over 13%. You see growing demand there in finance, telecoms, government services.
Right.
And again, it's often about leapfrogging. Investing directly in modern hybrid solutions rather than building out older infrastructure. Plus, the rest of Africa represents a growing opportunity as cloud adoption starts reaching more markets, often driven by mobile technology.
So we've circled the globe, seen strong growth everywhere, some regions absolutely rocketing. If we tie this all together, what's the big takeaway for our listeners? What does all this mean?
It means we're truly in the middle of a major shift in how companies manage their technology infrastructure. It's not just cloud anymore, it's smart cloud. It's about managing complexity across different environments.
Hmm.
And those benefits we mentioned, flexibility, scalability, security, they aren't just tech jargon. They directly impact a company's ability to compete, to innovate, to adapt quickly.
And it seems like this isn't just a trend for giant corporations, given the growth across all regions.
Exactly. With consistent double-digit growth everywhere, this is becoming foundational. It's the underpinning for so many other tech advancements. People hear about AI, IoT, big data analytics. They all run better on this kind of flexible, managed infrastructure. It's becoming a core pillar of the modern digital business.
It really paints a picture of a fundamental layer being built out globally. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground-staggering growth, global reach. This hybrid cloud management market is clearly reshaping business IT.
Definitely. It makes you think, doesn't it? Given how fast and widespread this adoption is,
Yeah.
what comes next? How will this change the way big companies even structure their IT departments in the next 5 or 10 years?
That's a great question. Or, flipping it, how does this level the playing field? Can smaller, nimbler startups use these platforms to challenge the big guys more effectively now?
Lots to think about there. How this infrastructure changes not just operations, but maybe even competitive dynamics. Something for you, our listeners, to maybe mull over.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really unpacking a topic that's kind of quietly reshaping how businesses operate: hybrid cloud management platforms. Now, these are often misunderstood, maybe seen as just technical tools, but they're actually a core engine for, well, digital transformation. So, our mission for this deep dive, if you will, is to give you a bit of a shortcut. We want you to understand why hybrid cloud setups are fast becoming, the gold standard. We'll look at what these management platforms really do, the incredible opportunities they can unlock, the challenges too, let's be real, and crucially, where this whole dynamic market seems to be heading. The goal is you'll leave this conversation feeling, well, properly informed about this pretty complex but really vital area.
And that's so important because, while hybrid cloud offers just immense potential, it definitely introduces a significant layer of complexity, a real layer. These platforms are essentially the sophisticated tools that step in to sort of wrangle that complexity. And in doing that, they actually transform it into a tangible opportunity for organizations.
Okay, right. So let's start by exploring what's really driving this market forward. A huge catalyst seems to be just the sheer increase in adoption of hybrid IT infrastructure itself. Organizations everywhere are strategically mixing and matching public and private clouds, but beyond the buzzwords, why are they actually doing this? What's the core reason?
Yeah, the real power here, I think, is how these hybrid cloud management platforms act as that essential bridge. What's really insightful is how they manage to reconcile conflicting needs. Businesses crave the agility, the scale of public cloud, right? But they also need the control, the security, maybe the cost effectiveness they associate with their own private infrastructure. So these platforms, they don't just sort of connect them, they intelligently mediate between those, competing demands. This lets organizations really leverage the best of both worlds. And it's not just about tech synergy, it's about modernizing IT operations fundamentally. It's about ensuring compliance, boosting business continuity, and really achieving that agile responsiveness you need in today's, well, incredibly fast-paced digital world.
Okay, that makes sense. And talking about that bridge, what are the immediate sort of tangible problems these platforms are solving for businesses right now? My guess is it's got a lot to do with getting a handle on costs and making sure resources aren't just, sitting idle.
Absolutely. That's a crucial point. How do you keep those costs in check? How do you maximize efficiency when things are spread out? Well, these platforms bring transparency, they bring control. They do this through things like real-time analytics, policy-based governance, setting the rules, and automated workload management. This means organizations can scale efficiently, keeping those cloud expenses under much tighter control. That's absolutely critical for any company managing, multi-cloud ecosystems, especially as they grow bigger and more complex.
Right, critical. And it's clearly not just about cost and control, is it? It seems like it's also fueling something much bigger, like the acceleration of digital transformation across loads of different industries. I mean, just think about the really demanding infrastructure needs you see in the sectors like healthcare or banking or manufacturing. These aren't just concepts. These industries need tech that can genuinely keep up, right?
Exactly. Yeah, for those kinds of industries, these hybrid cloud management platforms provide that that scalable and resilient infrastructure they desperately need. And we're talking about capabilities like, say, dynamic provisioning. And that isn't just about spinning up a server anymore. It's about, intelligent algorithms automatically allocating compute and storage based on real-time demand across your whole diverse infrastructure. So you get peak performance during a sudden traffic spike, maybe without massively over-provisioning beforehand. Or think about DevOps integration. It's about letting developers deploy applications to any cloud environment, public, private, wherever, using the same automated pipelines. That dramatically speeds up release cycles. It enables a truly agile, digital-first kind of business environment.
Yeah, okay. But of course, like any big tech shift, it doesn't arrive without its hurdles. So, what are some of the biggest obstacles companies are really grappling with when they try to adopt these platforms? I imagine the sheer complexity of integration must be a huge one. You're dealing with what? Disparate APIs, totally different architectures, vendor-specific systems, all trying to somehow talk to each other.
Oh, definitely. And the consequences of that complexity, they can be pretty significant. You're looking at inefficiencies, misconfigurations, which can be dangerous, and even service disruptions. This hits particularly hard for organizations that maybe lack those advanced cloud capabilities internally,
Yeah.
or don't have extensive experience managing such, well, intricate setups. It's a real barrier for many.
Mm-hmm. And whenever you talk about data moving between different environments like public and private clouds, security and compliance immediately jump to the top of the list, don't they? There's just an escalated risk, data breaches, regulatory noncompliance, especially with sensitive info. You mentioned healthcare, finance, think about GDPR or IPR. That must be a huge concern.
Absolutely. And building on that security point, it's not just about the technical side, the potential breaches. It's also about governance. Without a really clear governance structure, the rules, the oversight for how data and workloads actually operate across these different clouds, companies get hesitant, understandably hesitant, I'd say, to fully embrace these solutions.
Right. And then there are the more sort of practical barriers, high initial costs, for one, and that persistent skills gap we always seem to talk about in IT. Implementing these platforms often requires, well, a substantial upfront investment. Software licenses, training for staff, maybe significant infrastructure upgrades too.
Yeah, and this is where we often see a disproportionate impact on small and medium-sized enterprises, the SMEs. They might just lack the financial muscle or the specialized IT people needed to effectively roll out and then sustain these kinds of platforms. So this can certainly slow down adoption for them, even when the long-term ROI, the return on investment, looks really clear. It's kind of a classic chicken and egg situation for those businesses.
Yeah, I can see that. But okay, let's shift focus a bit from the challenges to what's actually on the horizon, because despite those hurdles, there are some really compelling trends shaping the future here. What's at the top of that list for you? What's really exciting?
For me, I think it's got to be the deep integration of AI and machine learning. Again, these technologies are genuinely revolutionizing cloud operations. They're automating things like workload distribution, which is huge. They're enabling platforms to predict system failures before they happen, and they're significantly enhancing performance monitoring. By minimizing that need for manual intervention, these AI-driven platforms really boost operational efficiency. And critically, they free up those valuable IT teams for more strategic, higher-level tasks. However, it's also important to remember AI automation isn't some magic wand. It still needs skilled human oversight. You need people to define the right policies, to interpret the advanced analytics correctly, especially in, say, highly regulated industries.
That sounds incredibly powerful for agility, yeah. And I'm seeing another powerful trend really gaining ground too, the rise of edge and distributed cloud models. We're talking about organizations pushing computing capabilities right out to the edge of their networks, for real-time data processing closer to where it's generated.
Yes, exactly. Pushing data processing closer to the source. So think IoT devices in a factory or smart city sensors, maybe even in-store retail analytics. Rather than sending absolutely everything back to some central data center, this is really critical for making instantaneous decisions. And it's particularly insightful, I think, to see how these hybrid cloud platforms are evolving to actually manage these increasingly decentralized architectures. They're now offering centralized control over these distributed workloads, everything from tiny edge devices all the way back to the traditional data centers. And this capability is absolutely critical for real-time responsiveness in sectors like manufacturing, logistics, and definitely for developing smart cities where latency just isn't an option. It can be a deal breaker.
Makes sense. And finally, there's this really clear industry shift happening towards open source and vendor agnostic platforms. That feels like a big deal. Why is that proving to be such a strong force right now?
Well, businesses are increasingly choosing these platforms precisely because they offer maximum interoperability and flexibility. They're actively trying to avoid the constraints of vendor lock-in. And the benefits are pretty clear, aren't they? You get better customization options, usually greater cost transparency, and it helps future-proof your scalability because you're not tied down. Ultimately, this just empowers enterprises. It gives them full control over their cloud strategies while really driving innovation. They're no longer sort of tethered to a single provider's roadmap, which I think fosters a much more competitive and dynamic ecosystem overall.
So, okay, bringing this all together, what does this really mean for you, our listener? Well, it seems pretty clear that this whole hybrid cloud management platform market isn't just about, technically connecting different clouds. It's fundamentally about strategically connecting your business goals with agile, efficient, and secure digital infrastructure. It's that strategic link.
hmm And maybe as you reflect on this deep dive, here's something to consider. As cloud computing keeps expanding, pushing into new domains like the edge, what do you think that evolving balance will look like? The balance between centralized control, which platforms provide, and the decentralized innovation happening out there. And maybe think about what specific aspect of hybrid cloud management we discussed today stood out most to you, and perhaps why that resonated. Something to mull over.